Now, if you clicked on this video, I am assuming that you were like, what? That is weird or crazy, because the title says that conspiracy theories made me a millionaire. And I'm going to explain how understanding the way the world actually works, not the way that I was taught that it works, it made me rich so fast that it's crazy. I went from a college dropout to a multi-millionaire in my 20s. So let me show you how this works. Okay, now first thing I want to say is this video is not like some Debbie Downer video about how the world sucks. It's actually the opposite. I was like a Debbie Downer. I was a freshman in college, and I kind of had my mind start opening. I asked my economics professor in class why we couldn't audit the Federal Reserve. And this was after like hundreds of billions of dollars in bank bailouts to the banks that caused the financial collapse in America. And he basically told me to be quiet. Now, barring rabbit holes of conspiracy theories, that response from my teacher just sent me to be like, this guy doesn't know the way the world works, and it sent me down this rabbit hole. Now, what I want to point out is probably the craziest thing. The word conspiracy theorist was never part of modern American vocabulary until JFK, John F. Kennedy, was assassinated. When he was assassinated, the response was to label anyone a new word. And that word was a conspiracy theorist if you questioned that there may have been other individuals involved in the assassination of John F. Kennedy. The word was literally invented by the CIA. Now, the conspiracies themselves are as old as human history. A conspiracy just means that two people conspire together for a certain objective. Like in basketball, when I was in high school, maybe when I was in middle school, one of the famous refs for the NBA basketball, he went to prison because he was fixing games and he was working with the mob. Like that's a conspiracy. The ref conspired with the mob to get a desired result, which was to rig the basketball games in favor of the mob making the most money. And you can go through so many things throughout human history, whether it's someone conspiring, two people conspiring to make sure you don't get a promotion, whether it is a dictator conspiring to not let the citizens vote or to rig the vote. There's conspiracy theories on big medical companies that withhold adverse side effects. Like, right, it's just a fact that there is people that conspire together to serve their own best interest, right? Like, it shouldn't be a news flash to anyone. Like, we know that everyone isn't exactly Gandhi and the most selfless person in the world, right? So the word conspiracy theorist was invented by the CIA to muddy the waters of anyone who questioned the assassination of John F. Kennedy. Now, when you take a step back and you grasp that, then you go, why would individuals try to do that? And then that led me down a rabbit hole of understanding the Federal Reserve and how the financial system works, which is that they print money out of thin air, then they loan us the money, they print it out. It's like you and I having our own money printing machine that we just print the money and then we go hand it out to our neighbors, but we charge them 10% interest on the money we printed, the make-believe money we printed, backed by nothing, right? So then I'm like, wow, that seems a little weird. Then you go into propaganda, and Edward Bernays. We know who Sigmund Freud is, right? Everyone does. But Sigmund Freud's nephew, his name is Edward Bernays. And Edward Bernays invented PR. Like when we think of PR, public relations or media PR, advertising PR, that word didn't exist until Sigmund Freud's nephew. So Sigmund Freud's nephew, Edward Bernays, he took Sigmund Freud's information on the human unconscious because, right, he was a therapist, psychologist studying the human unconscious and how the subconscious mind and the different levels of the unconscious psyche of a human controls their life and predicts their behaviors. Edward Bernays took all of that information and he went to the big companies and banks in America and he said, I know how to control people's subconscious mind, and we can essentially make people believe things so they buy more stuff from us, get more in debt, and we can control the world and make gajillions of dollars. Well, that was PR. And they used it to do all types of crazy things. When only men were smoking cigarettes, Edward Bernays ran a campaign that, like, if a woman smoking a cigarette, then you were like a badass woman that, was totally free. And they ran those as campaigns, You're a woman and you smoke and the men don't tell you what to do. Well, that is what prompted women to start smoking cigarettes. So my point is, all of this was used in order to control our subconscious. The whole way that people stay broke, because people go, when you say the word conspiracy theory, people go, yeah, the 1% control everything, they'll keep us all down. And I believed that until I found out that it was an illusion that was perpetuated and it was introduced to us to keep us down. Because ultimately, Bernays and all these people, the way the world's controlled is through human perception. And if you can condition mass perception for any specific ends, like staying in our house and locking ourselves in our home and closing our businesses, as an example, if you can make people do anything. Well, I believed as a 19-year-old when I found all that the world's bad, man, and all these people control everything. Okay, once I figured this all out, then I started looking into mind control. I started studying neuroplasticity, how the brain can rewire itself, subconscious hypnosis. Then you look at declassified things that aren't theories, like MK Ultra, which was when agencies in American and Canadian government were taking people and they were using drugs to get people in altered states, and then using hypnotic recordings and memory erasing therapy to see if they could make people do anything. So they were pushing it to the extreme to see if they could rewire people's minds entirely. So once I learned all that, here's the weird thing. Some people find all that out, then they get angry, right? And when I found it out, it changed my life for the better. I became much happier. I also became rich as a result, because I said, okay, if all of this is true, could I brainwash myself to be rich? Could I brainwash myself to be totally free? And I decided to do an experiment. So when I was 19 years old, I dropped out of college as a freshman, and I decided I wanted to become a big, successful author. Now, that seemed insane. I failed junior English class in high school as a college dropout. I was not a literature major. I only got into college because I was really good at basketball. So I knew that it was going to take some tinkering of my mind. But what I found was that I could use hypnosis recordings and auto-suggestion, which is suggesting, how do you know your name? That's the easiest way to think about it, right? It's because your parents said your name over and over. Jake, don't do that. Jake, honey, it's dinner. Jake. You heard it a million times. It was an automatic suggestion so many times that then you identified with it. But imagine instead if your parents, when you were 3 years old, they only told you your name once. They said, we have an important conversation. We're only going to tell you this one time, so you better remember your name's Jake. Your name's Susie. You would forget your name like maybe the next day, right? Like, it's because of automatic, constant repetition and suggestion that we identify and believe anything. So I decided to see if I could brainwash myself to become a big successful author. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to think about anything that you desire, whether it's with love, whether it's health, money, career. And what I invite you to consider is the only reason you don't have it yet is because you have either consciously or unconsciously, intentionally or accidentally been hypnotized or brainwashed or MK Ultra'd to believe that you can't have it. Whether that was by society or just traumatic past that happened in life when you were growing up, unconsciously we begin to form beliefs that then control our entire reality. So, the key, once you understand that, is then to reprogram it. And so when I dropped out of college, I backpacked around the world, and then I wrote a self-published book. No one would publish it. So I had to sell my books out of the trunk of my car. And there was no evidence that it would work out for me. But what I started doing is I created a success hypnosis that told myself that I was a millionaire, everything I do succeeded, that I'm a literary success, multinationally, making millions of dollars, inspiring millions of people, and every day I'm experiencing unexpected success. And I would just listen to this over and over and over again. And slowly what started to happen is that it manifested. I sold 10,000 copies of a self-published book. Then Penguin Random House, the #1 book publishing company in the world, gave me a book contract when I was 23, I think, where they were paying me as a 23-year-old college dropout. I almost felt like, I'm like, is this real? Like, when are they going to find out? I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Like, are they going to ask for their money back? Right? And then I started making recordings for myself because they told me, you need to go build an audience. So I started making YouTube videos, and then I started brainwashing myself that I was a multi-millionaire YouTuber inspiring millions of people. My viral videos were reaching millions of people from all over the world. And I started doing this over and over. Then when I was like 24, I went from like 2,000 subscribers to 200,000 subscribers, and I started getting millions of visitors on my website, and my book started getting translated into other languages. All I can say is by the time I was 25 or 26, I'd made my first $1 million. By the time I was like 27, 28, I had a net worth of over a couple $1 million. And all of it happened exactly the way that I programmed myself. So the ultimate conspiracy theory is that there's mass mind control. Either intentionally or not, it's irrelevant. You don't have to get into people get all into, and they're evil and bad and somebody did this to me. You have to let go of that and realize that ultimately, if you want the whole world to change before your life gets better, you're going to have to send the whole world to the psychologist and the psychotherapist before your life gets better. So if you can't be happy until all the evil's gone, you're going to be miserable every day of your life. If you can't get rich until there's a new system and capitalism's bad and the rich people need to give their money away and this rich person is so evil, if you believe that, then all of these things are going to happen in the world before your life gets better, right? Then this billionaire will have to give away all of his money and this one has to go to therapy and it's just not going to happen. But that's the mass unconscious mind control that keeps us from ever creating freedom and breaking out of the rat race. And it's almost like invisible guardrails that keep most of us just following where we're supposed to follow. So what I invite you to do is an experiment. Do an experiment. Step number 1 is to identify what your unconscious beliefs are about what you desire. For example, if you want to get married and have an awesome family, but you haven't been able to attract the right relationships, what do you believe about love? So your desire is relationships. So what do you believe about love? Maybe deep down you believe love is pain because your parents got divorced and it was super gnarly when you were a kid and it was really traumatic. And so your subconscious is trying to keep you away from experiencing that same childhood pain as an adult. That's really why you're not getting the relationship. Or if you want money, what's the core beliefs you learned? Is it that money is evil? Is that you're never going to get ahead in life because of who you are, where you're from, how smart or not smart you think you are? So identify those core beliefs or operating systems. Maybe it's things you heard from the church, from society, or from your parents when you were little. Then what I invite you to do is practice mind controlling yourself. So there's two ways to do this. One is use a form of an audio success hypnosis. You can use mine for free. About 1 million people from all over the world that use it. Every day I get these awesome stories of people attracting more money, getting a new job. Things just happen fast because when you reprogram your subconscious, your life quickly changes. Mine's free. It's jakeshypnosis.com. It's pinned to the comments and it's in the description right there down below. You can use that. You can do something else if you want. Doesn't matter, but get some form of audio. And then what you want to do is spend at least 5 minutes every single day, preferably a couple times a day, and especially before you go to bed, because when you go to bed, you're in a hypnotic state just before sleep. Your conscious mind shuts off, your brainwave states move into theta brainwave states, which is a brainwave state that they tried to get people in, like when they would do mind control and hypnosis. The reason is because you're in a state of receptivity, your conscious mind is shut off, so you can't reject the information. So whatever goes in and is impressed upon the subconscious during that time is programmed or accepted subconsciously as a new belief easier with less resistance. So you can use my free success hypnosis. It's jakeshypnosis.com. And then what I invite you to do is pick one intention to practice this on. It could be for money, it could be for a job, it could be for relationships, it could be for romance, it could be for health, it could be for selling your house, it could be for getting your dream house, it could be for anything you want. It doesn't matter what it is, but pick one primary intention. Then what I want you to do is practice auto-suggestion. So in addition to identifying those core unconscious beliefs in step number 1, then practicing some form of an audio reprogramming, which we just talked about. Then third is practice auto-suggestion. We talked about, like, how do you know your name? You know your name because you heard it a lot. It's called constant spaced repetition. When you're constantly over and over being exposed to the same repetition of something. Why do you believe you're broke, for example? It might be because for 4 years you've opened up your bank account and there's never any money in it and you're always stressed, right? That's constant spaced repetition. You know your name through constant spaced repetition. How do you get a song stuck in your head? Constant spaced repetition. You heard it over and over, and then constant spaced repetition makes that auto-suggestion and you can't get it out of your head. You want to do the same thing with your desire in the present tense. Your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's not real. It just accepts whatever the dominant information that is impressed upon it. So what I invite you to do is take your desire and turn it into the present tense. Right, I am so happy and grateful now that, and then your desire. So I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm a worldwide successful YouTuber inspiring millions of people, right? I'm so happy and grateful now that I've attracted my soulmate and we are starting an awesome family. I'm so happy and grateful now that I got that awesome remote personal assistant job making $25 an hour. I'm so happy and grateful, whatever it is. Write it down in the present tense and distill it into one sentence. I'm so happy and grateful. Comment that down below so it stays with you. I'm so happy and grateful. And then insert your desire. Then write it out at least 20 times a day in a notebook. write the same thing over and over. I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm a worldwide successful YouTuber inspiring millions of people. I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm a worldwide successful YouTuber inspiring millions of people. I'm so happy and grateful that I'm a real estate agent selling 4 houses a year, right? Whatever it is, write it down at least 20 times a day in a notebook. It'll take you probably 5 minutes. The reason you're doing this is constant spaced repetition and new forms of autosuggestion. You are consciously using mind control to program your psychology in order to insert your desires instead of being programmed by the outside world around you and being mind controlled by your past or by the limitations that your 5 senses are telling you about based off of the evidence in your life. Like, there's no money in my bank account, therefore I'm broke. I haven't been able to attract my soulmate for 4 years, therefore I'm always be alone and I'm gonna marry my cat, right? Like, whatever it is. We wanna erase that. Change the channel, turn the volume down, and then use auto-suggestion. And the way that you do it is to write what it is that you want at least 20 times a day over and over in the present tense. Once you do that, read it out loud in the mirror while you look yourself in the eye. Do it out loud. Make sure you do this part. It's important because you're going to get a really clear impression of the resistance that you have. So what I invite you to do is when you go in front of the mirror and you read it out loud with energy. I wouldn't read it like, I'm so happy and grateful that I'm a world successful YouTuber and I'm inspiring people. I'd be like, I'm so happy and grateful that I'm a worldwide successful YouTuber inspiring millions of people. I'm so happy and grateful. Do it like that because that's what activates the cells. While you do it like that, and you're looking yourself in the eye, there's been a lot of studies. Stanford University did a study where they had a group of people look into the mirror as they were repeating certain suggestions to themselves while they were trying to cure people for different things that they were, challenges they were facing, whether it was negative emotions or depression or sadness or anxiety. And they found that the group that was repeating their desires or intentions in the mirror out loud in front of themselves, they got better the fastest and they were able to get the best results, the longest lasting results. So there's a lot of studies on self-talk in the mirror. So what I invite you to do is practice that every single day in total between listening to the hypnosis and writing out your desires as auto-suggestion and reading it out loud. This probably won't take you much more than 5, 6, 7 minutes in an entire day. When you do this, your life will change. This changed my life. I found out I was mind controlled. I allowed myself to be mind controlled more significantly because nobody can make me believe anything. Unconsciously, I have to accept it or allow it to enter me and then identify with it and internalize those beliefs. That belief is what actually gives you the freedom to erase any beliefs that aren't yours, that you don't want anymore, that don't align with your new conscious desires, your dreams, and your goals in your life today. So I invite you to give this a try as a thought experiment. Practice this for the next 14 days and watch what happens in your life. This is Jake with jakeducey.com. I want to thank you for watching today's video. If you haven't yet, make sure you get my free success hypnosis. It's jakeshypnosis.com. It's pinned to the comments and in the description right there down below. Give me a comment down below if you enjoyed today's video, and you can click here to watch another one.